Welcome to episode 3 of a Sam Girl Retrospective. I'm your host, Audrey, and this week, Elle comes back, and we cover episodes 4 and 5 of season 1 of Supernatural. We talk through some interesting things that happened when we recorded this in May. You guys can find all the links and visuals on Instagram and in our show notes. So check those out and enjoy, guys.
Why am I more nervous now than I was for the pilot?
Don't be nervous. You'll be fine. I'm drinking a beer. I'm literally having a beer right now. Today was my last day of school. So
Oh gosh.
I need a drink. All right. Are we ready to go?
Wait, hang on. I'm way too close to the camera.
Your hair looks so cool, by the way.
What? How this?
Well, your hair always looks cool because you have a cool haircut and your hair is curly and you always have it. It's like a cool, like gray. I'm obsessed with it. Grab your notes because I have some stuff to cover before we get into it.
Okay.
Because, okay, two things.
Two things.
So we've already done our intros. The people know us. They know us. They've listened to
I'm sure they have.
episode.
They've listened to it so many times. They've got us memorized.
They're
Actually, everybody will already know you because they already listened to your other podcasts.
I highly doubt it.
I'm sure they have. I'm sure they have listened to the opening of the pilot episode multiple times and looked me up.
They're like,
so
we have to
know everything
memorize
about me.
These geniuses. We must know who they are.
Yeah.
So instead of like doing that, we have to do like supernatural news. And there actually is some, weirdly, right?
It's so weird because this show ended many years ago.
How long? It
5?
was 4 years ago. Yeah, 4 years ago. Okay, so the news is that DJ Qualls,
I know,
who did he play?
Shit.
He was played the werewolf friend.
Yeah, but he wasn't. He was just like a nerdy hunter friend first.
Yes, he was DJ Qualls.
And do you know he used to be a model?
I can see it. I've been a fan of him since. Here's the news, and then I'll talk about DJ Qualls.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Because I didn't finish my sentence, and I do that.
And I'm so sorry.
And we do that. We
are bad at that.
We're
really good at that.
ADD,
actually.
ENFPs. We're Gemini Sag. Like that's how we roll.
The worst podcast combination or best podcast combination.
We're amazing. Okay, so DJ Qualls and Ty Olson. Well, I want to say it's like Olson. It's 2 S's.
Olson.
So they're engaged. And DJ Qualls played a character in later seasons on Supernatural. Ty Olson was in an earlier episode. He played like a vampire, I think. Almost a DJ. That would be hilarious. A vampire bartender early, but he dies. But he comes back in season 8 and he plays a really close friend to Dean called Benny. And they are now engaged to be married. They're in love. And I gotta say, in a fandom with so many pairings, I never saw that one.
I'm not sure anybody shipped that.
And now
they never had episodes in common.
We never saw that coming, and now we're all shipping it.
And it's funny because it's a werewolf and a vampire.
Oh my god, you're so right. I didn't even think about it. See, this gives me hope for all like amongst everyone. Like, look.
Oh my gosh. Supernatural. No. Garth. And he's also credited with Mr. Fizzles, which I think is just that one episode where he uses a sock puppet to try to talk about feelings. I think that's the one.
You're totally right. I forgot about Mr. Whatever.
Mr. Fizzles. I would not know that except that I'm looking at the credit. Garth Fitzgerald the Fourth.
Wow. I mean, he deserves a title like that.
He's got a pedigree.
And he's a werewolf. So, wait a second. A pedigree.
I see what you did.
Hilarious.
So funny.
So I found that out, I guess, a few days ago, or maybe it was last week, the end of last week. It was after we recorded on Saturday,
Yeah.
and I just was like, What? Like, that's
I know.
crazy.
It took the SPN fandom like by storm, which is crazy because when your show has been over for 4 years, you do
Mhm.
not expect new news. But with this show, 4 years is such a drop in the bucket compared to the actual running length of this show.
Yeah, which is what,
Like,
200 years?
I think so. I'm, I was a youngling when it started, and now I'm ancient. So yeah.
I kept saying, like, because I stopped watching the show week to week. I think in season 11, like, my life blew up and I got a divorce and like moved to Dallas and like
Oh my
did
God, it's
did all those
wild.
things. Yeah, and
That feels like it was so long ago.
it was 8 years ago.
I guess it was.
And so I stopped watching and like just never caught up, and always said I'll rewatch it when it ends. And it just
Yeah.
kept going. And I kept
I know.
like, well, damn, am I
Well,
ever
when
gonna
it's
get to watch
over,
this
you
again?
know. Well, and now they're talking about a reboot.
What? I didn't know that. Is okay. What?
I guess like a soft. Let me see if I can find some
They
information.
use the word reboot for so many like ways, and I never know what they mean. To me, a reboot is a totally new cast, reimagining of
Okay.
the
So
series.
they're just talking about it, and it's not. I don't think.
It's
I don't.
not even cold considering how long
I
it
know.
ran.
I
It
I
needs to
know,
be
right?
gone for at least 10 years before they reboot
Well,
it.
and then there was the Winchesters, so it's not even like
Oh my God.
Supernatural has been gone. The Winchesters ran for one season.
Oh, yeah.
Was
Oh
it
my
one?
God.
So it's really only been 3 years since Supernatural has been off of Fresh TV.
I blocked
But
that out of my head. I forgot that shit happened. Well, they did Sam in it. They just were like, Dean's
I
gonna
mean,
narrate. Every other Winchester's present, not Sam. And I
but
was
not Sam.
there's nothing for me. I'm a
Oh,
Sam
and
girl.
I don't know anything about the wank that went on except but what I heard in rumors. I just read it was messy, and so I was like, I don't really think I want to.
No.
But I did power through the first 2 seasons of Walker.
Oh, I
I did.
never did what well, I live in like
Yeah, you
Walker
are.
land,
You are Texas. You're
I
the Texas and
literally
Texas Ranger.
I am. And like I used to drive past, like, not me, I was a child, but my mom would drive me to school, and I would drive past a house that was on Walker Texas Ranger.
Really?
Yes, and
Wow,
my
you're so close to fame.
no, wait, it gets better.
Oh
My,
no.
my little cousin Cody Lenley was in an episode of Walker Texas Ranger. Yeah.
Who? Who was he?
I don't know. I think he was just like a little boy extra in an episode, but like he was in
Oh,
one. Well, because he did all kinds of stuff, and he ended up on Hannah Montana as Jake Ryan. But like when he was little, he would do little things like that. And he was in Walker. He also was in an episode of Wishbone.
really? That's
Yeah.
funny. Okay, so what I found was a potential Supernatural reboot gets a seal of approval from Eric Kripke. And now that Walker has been canceled,
Yeah.
Jared is freed up.
Well, he says
But
it's not
Eric,
going to be on CW. I feel like he's going to
I
start
know,
it
I
there
know. Yeah.
elsewhere.
I mean, I think so too, but I think this is all just nothing
Like
is confirmed
conjecture, yeah.
because Kripke is doing The Boys right now anyway, and so is
Mhm.
Jensen for that matter. So,
Well, Kripke said they dropped that this week, that he was like, I'd love Jared to be on my like The Boys spinoff or whatever.
I have not heard that, but I am actually
Yeah.
like scared for that to happen because
He's like,
The
I want
Boys,
that boy on
there's
there.
no good person on The Boys.
It might be fun to
Everybody
kind
is
of watch.
a terrible person.
I know. Well, it might be fun to watch Jared do something like that.
I
feel
mean,
like
he's played a lot of different, like, quote unquote evil versions of Sam, and
oh
he's
yeah.
done
And
pretty
he's
good
done
job. So,
great.
yeah.
I would love to see him doing something that's just completely irredeemable. It would be really fun, I think. Don't you think it'd be fun?
Ooh!
I think it'd be fun. Well, I was gonna
Yeah,
say, if Jared's chilling this summer, there's something he could be doing, listening to this
totally.
podcast.
Totally.
If you're listening and you're a big Supernatural fan and you have a Twitter or what X or whatever that's called, tweet at him and Jen this podcast, suggest this to them, and see if they get bored enough to listen. We would love that. That's
Yeah.
my dream. Is that
They'll
they
get bored
listen.
enough. Summertime with kids,
Oh,
super boring.
You're right. Shut up. Okay, you're right. I don't have kids, so I forget. I'm a teacher, so
Yeah.
I deal
Well,
with them
but you have the
during school
opposite.
year.
Yeah, you have the opposite experience.
So
You're like,
during
yes,
summer, I'm like, there's
summer,
nothing to do.
kid free.
Well, that's all my news. That was all my supernatural news. It was DJ Qualls and Ty Olson, and then just mentioning that I heard that Kripke was like, "Hey, Jared should come over here."
Yeah, and mine was, hey, some folks on the internet asked a random question, and Kripke said, yeah, I guess.
I hadn't heard that about the maybe possible reboot. So if they were
But I don't know.
like, what did Sam do after the finale until
Yeah, but then where would Dean be?
dead? Because he dies in the finale.
No, I know, but like,
It would be about Sam.
okay, well, I'm in, but I think
They
there's
already
a bunch
did
of
a reboot with Dean. I'm saying now
without
they're gonna
Sam.
be
Yeah,
without Sam.
that's true. That's
The
true.
way you were like, and I'm like, no, we're done.
So they're calling it, in this article, they're calling it a Supernatural season 16.
No, they did that with Scrubs and it didn't work.
Oh,
I did say I was gonna
for
say,
months now, there's been discussion about the possibility of Supernatural returning for a 16th season.
girl, let her
Why?
rest.
Why let her die?
Okay, what I was gonna
Okay.
say earlier, I forgot, is about DJ Qualls. I was going to say,
Oh,
that I've been a fan of him since he was on Scrubs, and he plays this adorable, like he's in it one episode, and he plays this adorable intern who comes in, and DJ has to, or JD, oh my god, JD, I've messed it up. JD has to like take care of him, and like DJ Qualls plays like a version of how JD was when he first entered, and like if he learns what it was like to have to be his mentor to DJ Qualls' character. It's
well, that's
so
fun. I watched so much
sweetest.
Scrubs. How did I miss that?
I just
Maybe I watched
remember
it and
being
just
like,
forgot it.
yeah, I mean, it's one episode. I just really loved it, and I was like, that guy is so adorable. And then when he was on other things, I'd be like, hey, it's that one, it's that
It's that
intern.
dude. He has a very distinctive look.
He does. Okay. Anyways, this week, let's talk about our episodes. We finally got through all of our
Intro
chat.
over. Yeah.
Yeah.
Supernatural news corner.
Yeah, we won't always get to have one.
No, I was surprised we got one this time. Yeah.
We really got to take advantage.
Oh my gosh.
So the first episode that we are going to talk about this week is episode 4 of season 1, Phantom Traveler. And I'm so excited to talk about this episode because I had such a fun time rewatching it. Like I remember loving this episode, but when I watched it this time, I was just like, this is amazing. This is so funny. This is so fun. So
it's fun, it's funny, and it's terrifying. Okay. Yeah. Can I just start out saying that I have a fear of flying? Well, yeah. I'm the perfect person to do this episode. So glad that I happened to fall on the schedule.
Okay, so let me summarize the episode, if just so everyone remembers, in case we have listeners who haven't watched in a little while. But Phantom Traveler, it's about a demon. This is like our first demonic possession of the series, and this demon, for whatever reason, is like obsessed with crashing planes. And so he will, or it will, I guess, the demon will possess someone and then cause that person to make some detrimental choice on the flight 40 minutes in every time. And then the flight will crash. And at one point there were survivors. And so it goes after like Final Destination style, all of the survivors, and Sam and Dean have to try to stop it. This is the first time that they wear suits and pretend to be like government officials. It's very cute. And it's just so fun to watch them kind of deal with clients that Dean and his father have had in the past. And eventually they end up on a flight and use a very interesting exorcism to exorcise the pilot of this flight that is possessed. And Dean is absolutely beside himself with fear. Like he is terrified. And it's adorable to see like this guy who's like usually just really tough bravado be like kind of devastated in his fear. And so Sam ends up exercising it. It goes away, saves the day. That's it. Plain.
Yes. That's it. Yay. So this is
Yay!
probably the most terrifying cold open for me, opening
Okay,
gambit
talk
for
to me about that.
because um it I have actually had to do work to be good enough at getting on a plane that I don't just not get on a plane, right? So I
No.
am the kind of terrified where I'm like gripping the arms and I cannot sleep on a flight without drugs because my brain will say, if you fall asleep, whose hope is keeping the plane aloft? So,
It's like
so
Elf and Christmas cheer keeps the sleigh.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's exactly like that. So,
No.
I've had to work really hard with with therapy and modern medicine. I can now get on an airplane, but do I feel like I'm shooting forward in a death coffin, just ready to fall out of the sky? I absolutely do. I don't believe in God, but I feel like I'm flying in the face of God. And
You're like, I don't believe in him, but I do believe when I fly a plane, it's making him mad.
that's right. That's right. Imaginary Sky Daddy is mad at me right now. So, did I just alienate a whole bunch of people?
Be fine. They were
Okay.
supernatural. They'll be fine.
That's fine. You're right. You're right. Okay, so this is the opening of this episode. Like they always do, well, for these case episodes, these Monster of the Week episodes, they always do like a first victim, well, latest victim, I guess,
Yeah.
kind of thing where you see what the situation is, and then the boys come in. So this and they're usually, especially early on, they're scary because you don't know what's going on.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
shot like a horror film. This one is not so much shot like a horror film, and yet it is the most scary to me because I and I know the door that the demon opened that took that plane down. You can't do that in real life.
Yeah.
And they even say that
They
in
talk
the
about
episode.
that.
They
Yeah.
talk about that. It's an impossible task. And yet I'm still like, oh my gosh, if I was on that plane, like,
Yeah.
no, not a thing. So anyway, that's just all an aside to say this is like for not being scary in a haunted house kind of episode, probably my scariest episode. So
I thought it was really scary because one of the things that was really eerie to me, and they always tap into like, if it's gonna be the beginning, they're gonna do this cold open. They tap into what could be the eeriest thing possible. And what I wrote down that was really scary is that this man does not give a fuck about his own life. He just like goes over to the door and opens the door and immediately flies out to his own death. Like he's just like, haha, smiles, does it. Like that's very,
it's terrifying.
Yeah.
And creepy, especially because we have not encountered demons or possession, have we? Have we had possession yet?
Not yet. No. And
not even by a ghost.
No.
And so all we see if we're watching this the first time is this guy, just sort of jolly guy, just goes up to the door and just kind of grins at somebody, which is creepy all by itself, and then cranks that thing open and flies out to his death.
Yeah, I think it shows his dark eyes, or I think it shows.
I think it does,
in
but
the
like
bathroom, the ectoplasm like cloud maybe came down. I think.
Yeah.
But...
well, so we know it's supernatural, so we know something supernatural is happening. But because we haven't seen it in action, it's not old news. It is new and scary.
Yeah, they're
that something could take over your body and make you kill yourself and almost everyone else on a plane.
Yeah, because the demon's gonna be fine.
Yeah, the demon don't give a shit.
He don't give a shit.
He don't give a shit. So yeah, that is a very creepy opening.
To me, this episode just detailed to me what a terrible trainer of the supernatural John is to the boys. Thank you.
Yes.
Like I wrote so many notes down about like, how do the boys get to be 26, 22 and they're just now like being able to identify a demon. Like they hear about those dark eyes and they don't immediately think demon. They're like, "Ooh, what's that?" It's not until like the second big thing happens that they're like,
Demon.
"The demon?"
Yeah.
Yeah, like
No
let me
way. That's good. And Dean even says this was a little out of our wheelhouse. Demons? No.
yeah, he says demons
Yeah.
are not our normal gig. And I said,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
that will change very soon, kiddo. But
Yeah, yeah, very soon.
like what's
But
wrong with you guys? Like, why didn't your father, who literally spent their entire lives searching for the thing that killed mom, which was a demon,
right.
and they don't even know what a demon, like how to identify a demon, and he still doesn't even fucking know it is a demon? Like, what kind of work has he been doing for 20 years?
So I wrote that down too. That I was actually surprised to be confirmed that it was their first demon because I didn't remember.
Mhm.
And my thought is maybe John kept them away from demons as much as possible, considering what he knew or what he thought he knew about Sam. Like if
Yeah.
he was if he was trying to keep Sam away from any kind of that influence,
Yeah.
um, so he didn't have to kill him.
I could
You
see
know,
that.
that's in the future. But yeah,
I
so
just also think I just think the way that this family withholds information from each other is just really fucked up because
yeah,
at the end of the day, what is going to be more beneficial to Sam and Dean? Is it not knowing a damn thing about demons when you're forcing them into a life where they have to face them on a regular basis?
mm-hmm.
Or is it being honest with them about demons despite your weird misgivings about your own son?
Right. Well, and related to that, like not even that he is thrusting them into the world where there are demons, but he knows things
Yeah.
about demons coming after Sam. Like
Which would be very important for Sam to get to
Sam should know about how to deal with demons. Dean should at least know if he's going to be,
Mhm.
a terrible dad, then he needs to at least tell Dean. I understand
Yeah.
why he would keep it from Sam because he's not a very good person. Sorry, John people, but he's like he should
True
at least
though.
tell Dean,
Yeah. Well,
right?
that would mean he would have to have enough self-awareness to
Mm-hmm.
know that what he's doing is unfair to Sam.
Yeah.
But this whole episode is really hard for me with John, and I think I mentioned in the first episode with you, I'm an anti-John household over here, but this episode specifically is so fucking hard for me because like one of my favorite elements of this episode and like earlier episodes is that they have old clients and old acquaintances that they've worked with in the past that come back. And in this one
Mhm.
specifically, we have one of John's old clients who's like calls up Dean and is like, "Hey, I worked with your dad. He helped me with the poltergeist. I think something else is happening. Can you guys come down?" That's so cool.
I
And
love that. It expands the
yeah,
world and it makes it feel lived in.
and
That it
it's yeah,
Yeah.
it's genuine. It's like a
Yeah.
sincere, like that makes sense.
Yeah.
And when they're hanging out with this guy, um, he tells Sam, because he's never met Sam. He's like, "Oh, you were at college. Your dad is so proud of you. He never stopped
Yes.
talking about you."
Yes. Yes. I wrote this down too.
And Sam is like, he did? Like,
Uh-huh.
and I wrote down like Sam having to find out from a stranger that his father talked about him positively all the time and is proud of him is so messed up. Like,
And apparently talked positively enough about him that that dude, that old client was
mhm.
like, "Ah, so we don't get John, but we got Sam. That's even better," or
Even
whatever.
trade, yeah. And
An even trade. And Sam is like,
no way,
"No,
dude. I mean, wow.
absolutely not.
And it's
Okay."
like he's never
But
heard this
he's
from his
so
father before.
so surprised to hear it that you're
Mhm.
like, did you never? Damn, dude.
And he did never. We
He
know
did,
that.
and we know he did never. So
And
yeah,
like, I know we're gonna get there. We'll get to episodes later where the boys
that's
talk
later.
more,
Yeah.
about, I thought you were his favorite. Well, I thought you were his favorite. Turns out neither of us were his favorite. He's the worst. But
It
like,
turns out he was the worst to both of us in different ways. Yeah.
yeah. And I found it really difficult. Everything they dealt with in this episode to do with John just made me angry because I was like, what is wrong with this man? Anyways, on to like nicer things, I guess.
Yes, sure. Yes.
So Sam is having nightmares in this one about Jess. So he's feeling like deeply guilty about her death.
So Sam and Sleep comes back through the entire series.
Mhm.
Sam and Sleep is a problem.
Mm.
He things just always seem to come back to Sleep and not being able to get it. Like,
Yeah. And that
and it almost kills him.
it does. It directly affects his mental health. I think that's why when like later when we see him dealing with the possessions of like later seasons, like that is such a tough thing for him. Like um hallucinating because of his lack of sleep, just having to deal with that. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about him running towards death all the time in the next episode, but he does it in this episode as well. Like I wrote down, I said, wow, they really decided they were going to solve this or die because they board a plane. And I really feel like when Sam gets into a position of emotional turmoil or like crisis, like he is with the loss of Jess and how he just can't deal with it unless he is doing something about it. I feel like the sleep thing that you just mentioned and the throwing himself into reckless situations kind of go hand in hand. And that felt like a motif throughout this episode.
So when they're in the airport
Mm-hmm.
and Sam finds out, apparently for the very first time, that Dean has a fear of flying.
Oh my God. Yes.
Okay, so it would be very easy and in keeping with their how they poke fun at each other for Sam to make that a joke. But instead, Sam like takes a beat to be like, okay, well, I'll go.
Right.
Like
Yes.
he does not like make fun of Dean for it or call him a wimp. He just is like, okay, cool. You stay here.
Yeah, here
I will go.
logistically, this makes sense.
This is the thing. This is the plan then. Then I will go. And Dean, of course, won't let him go by himself. But it's that kind of struck me because sometimes when we get into the narrative, it's not always apparent that Sam or Dean, for that matter, know when to make a joke and when to keep it serious. But in this episode,
Yes.
it's very solid. This is not a joking time. But when they're on the plane and it's taking off and Dean is frightened of the sound of the wheels coming up into the plane, I know because I have that same fear and I also react just like Dean does every single time. The little smile that Sam gets on his face is just like the little smile any of my traveling companions have ever had at that specific moment. So like that, yes, he's gonna laugh a little bit about that. But it's I think this is all getting to a point for me where I just love the brothers in this episode.
I agree. That's one of the reasons I had so much fun with this episode.
Yeah.
Because the brothers are so cute. Like one of the things Dean says, like when Sam's like, "Are you seriously scared of flying?" And he's like, "Yeah, what? Drive everywhere." Like I loved it. Oh my
God. I drive everywhere.
That's so
Sam's just
funny.
Like, okay.
Like I'm sure it's because they're not millionaires, but also like, and they have a really cool car, but also he's like, I'd rather not fly.
Yeah.
It's just so cute. Like there was another cute brothers moment too, where like they realize, okay, we'll test it out to see who's the demon. And he's like, I brought holy water. And Sam's like, no. And he takes it away. Just go use the Lord's name in vain. And he goes, okay, cool. And he tries to walk away. And then Sam's
like,
hey, wait.
Hey, in Latin.
Say it in Latin. And Dean's like, okay, cool. And then he goes, hey, wait.
It's wait.
Cristo.
And in Latin, it's Cristo.
And Dean's like, dude, I know I'm not an idiot. Perfect brothers. It's also, again, that perfect like explanation like of we get exposition without it seeming like contrived. Like it's cute. Like
it's cute. Yes.
They know it. They explain what happens for us, the audience, without it seeming like the first time they've heard it. Like Dean's like, oh, duh, dude, I know. Okay. It's just so cute.
Because Sam's been out of stuff for a little while. So it makes sense for him to be like, oh, yeah, right. I remembered this.
And don't forget this.
Because they haven't dealt with demons. So, you know, all of this is like probably from reading back
when
or
they were
whatever.
kids. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't want to I don't want to steer us back into fandom wars. But this episode has one of the sort of, I guess, events that people point at when they want to make the point that Sam doesn't think that Dean is smart.
Right.
When his EVP device looks like a busted Walkman,
Yes.
and when he is telling Dean, you know, the demon will flinch at the name of God, say it in Latin, and it's Christo, like, and all these things that Dean is like, yeah, I know, dude, I know.
Right.
And I just like the the EVP device. I just think that's funny. That's typical level brothers poking at each other.
Yeah. And
But
it shows how resourceful Dean is. Like, I think it's really
yeah,
cool
yeah,
that they did not have money. They lived on like couches at motels. So like
well,
he
and I
figured out how
noticed,
to put it together
yeah,
himself.
he figured it out how to put it together himself, and it's smart because he just looks like a normal person walking down an aisle with
Listening
headphones
to his
and a
headphones.
Walkman. Yeah,
He's
when
I
he's
love
listening for
it.
EVP. So it's actually really smart. But the thing that struck me about that cute scene before Dean goes to talk to the flight attendant is when Sam turns back around, he's not like chuckling. He's
Or
not
rolling his eyes.
grinning or rolling
Mhm.
his eyes. He's concerned because
Yeah.
he also just had to talk Dean down from like basically the start of a panic attack. And he wasn't like, dude, calm the shit down. What's
Yeah.
wrong with you? He was like, no, you have to get calm. And Dean's like, I can't be calm. And he's like, yes, you
You have
can.
to be.
You
Because
can,
you're
and you
gonna get
have to be.
yeah, you're gonna
Yeah,
get possessed. I
yeah.
loved that. I wrote a note down too about him like trying to do breathing with him and like Dean finally being like, fine. And like
Right. He
again,
listens. He
brothers,
listens
just
to
so cute.
Sam. Sam gives
Exactly.
the advice because Sam is the calm one right now, and Dean listens and
Mhm.
takes the advice, and everything is great and lovely. I love it. Sam being concerned about Dean, and he's concerned about Dean through most of this episode
Mhm.
because Dean is scared and he admits it. And that's because at the very, very beginning of this episode,
Mhm.
he specifically says that he doesn't get scared or whatever.
Yes. Yes,
Like
he does.
that is a thing that is Dean saying, Sam saying, yeah, of course I have nightmares. Don't you ever get scared? And Dean says, no.
Well, and I thought that was really interesting. And I forgot to mention it earlier when I mentioned that Sam was having nightmares about Jess, that it wasn't just about Jess, but about the realities of the job. And he literally says, yeah, I'm just so out of practice. Like I forgot about some of the things. So like I'm having nightmares about like what we do. And he's not able to separate it as easily as Dean. And Dean was like pretending that he doesn't bring it home, but then Sam lifts a pillow and he's like, okay, well, why is there a huge knife under your
And
pillow?
Dean's like, that's not fear. That's
That's just good
preparation.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Dean. But now when we have a demon on a plane,
Mm-hmm.
now there's some fear. But it kind of points to Sam doing some hard work repressing his hunting past in
Yeah.
college.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, how, like we've said before, how many I'm fines are we gonna?
Right. Oh my gosh.
So he's always, it's good when either of them talk about their feelings because
It is.
while Dean will hide his emotions behind like bravado and, swagger, like Sam will hide it behind like stoicism, I think a lot
Yeah.
of times. And like, um, just quietness, calmness. Like, um,
Yes.
we're not on Bloody Mary yet. We will be, but there's
Mhm.
big stuff that is revealed in that episode that he's been harboring
Yes.
this whole time. And,
Yeah.
that's probably part of not being able to sleep.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that image will get replayed in Bloody Mary, but again,
Mhm.
that's in the future. But Sam Sam being calm in the emergency, and in fact, through this whole case, being very calm and we've got to get this done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're afraid? I'll go on. One of us has to. Okay,
Mhm.
you're coming? I'll talk you down. Like
Mhm.
he's keeping everyone calm, including himself and Amanda, the flight attendant.
Mm-hmm.
He even is calm long enough to get like most of that exorcism off, even through getting like slammed against a wall.
Yeah,
And
the plane is
only
nose diving, and he's like having
yes,
to crawl under like seats and stuff,
right, to get to the journal that has the exorcism in
and
it, right?
reciting Latin.
And reciting Latin. And the only time he loses his cool and is unable to move forward with his appointed task is when the demon says, "Your girlfriend died screaming."
Ugh,
And and Sam, of course, is like,
devastated.
and
Yeah,
then yeah,
I
so
wrote the demon being a dick about Jess makes Sam sad, and so I too am sad. God,
I wrote, and then Dean comes to the rescue when the demon pokes on Sam's sore spot. Jess,
good for Dean.
go Dean.
I just thought that it was so deranged. Like this is such a great episode. It's so wacky, it's so fun. It's so like to me, the concept of okay, well, we have to get on this flight that is for sure gonna go down is so insane on the fourth episode. Like, obviously they're not gonna die, so it's gonna be fine. But this is like the stakes could not be higher. Like you have to like succeed where they have already failed at this, like on this one, like a few times.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to
Mm-hmm.
succeed or die.
My next line after that, by the way, in my notes is OMG, my blood pressure through this whole episode. Christ.
It's just it is so insane. Like what they do
It's
is
so hard to
so
watch.
crazy.
Also, do you ever try to put yourselves in the yourself in the shoes of the person who they are trying to convince to do something crazy?
Yes, every time I'm like,
Every time.
I would tell these guys to go fuck themselves every
I
single
would I would end up dead real quick because I'd be like,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
no, that's dumb. Gonna
I
go do
don't
my
know
job.
what it
And then
would
the plane
take.
would crash and I would die.
And I would die. Well, and I don't know what it would take. Like if Dean approached me, I'm the kind of woman who I would just be like, I have a boyfriend. You know, and I would just be like, leave me alone. If Sam approached me, I think I would be frightened because he's so big. He's so tall.
He's really big.
It's
He's
hard for
really
me.
tall.
Yes.
He's also really soft spoken, which
He's
we'll get into with Bloody
long
Mary.
boy.
But
Yes. And
he's very soft spoken and earnest, which might get me going.
That part.
Okay.
Okay.
I
Really
will
soft.
have doctors waiting on the ground to take you to the insane asylum, sweetheart. We're gonna take care of
We're
you.
gonna
Like
take
I
care of
wouldn't.
you.
I still wouldn't believe him.
Well, that was what I was gonna say too. It's like they had to convince this poor woman to like go to the cockpit and drag the fucking pilot to the back of the plane.
Right?
And then they started beating the shit out of this.
Right in front of her, and she's like,
Like, what did I
just make the
do?
worst mistake of my life?
What am I an accomplice to? Like, what is happening? But
I
no,
do want to know why that demon pilot came out of the cockpit after he knows somebody on the flight knows to say Cristo to him.
Exactly.
There's
Well,
a hunter on that plane, and he's still like, yeah, it's fine.
What did she say? I wonder what she told him.
I
Have your
I
favorite
would love to
snack
know.
back here. I don't know.
Hey.
Demons love a good snack, is what I hear.
They're into snacks. Oh gosh.
Well, I really loved how it ended with the guy going, like the original client of John's who called and was like, "Hey, can you help me?" He said, "Nobody knows what you guys do, but I do." And I think that's a sentiment that like is lost throughout the series. And I really love that it's very prominent.
I love it. I love that here. Yeah.
It's really cool. Again, I get really mad at John though, because they're like, by the way, how did you get my number? And like John can update his damn voicemail and add Dean's number, but he can't call his boys who are looking for him. Like
Right?
I said, literally go to hell. And we all know that he does, and he deserves it.
He deserved to stay, god damn it. I think that I do wonder what triggered John to put his number back into service, because Sam says it's been out of service every time he's tried to call. So I know, which insinuates, I think he says something like, I tried to call him like 50 times or something. So he has been trying to call. It's been 4 episodes and he's called his dad 50 times.
Oh my God.
So I don't know, and I don't remember if we learned that later because I know that they're going to start crossing paths.
Yeah.
But I also think that so at the end again we also have after the wrap up of the
Yeah.
case when they're like just in the car or whatever. So Sam's all like angsty about the demon knowing about Jessica and what the demon said about her.
Yeah.
And I think despite Dean's reassurance that demons just read your mind and say stuff,
Right.
I feel like Sam suspects that something bigger is happening.
Yes.
I
And that
think because
instinct will be correct.
yes, because he did not look convinced.
Mm-mm. Well,
Um,
and people like Dean will try to tell him constantly, like, it's not your fault, man. Whatever it is that he feels guilty of, Dean's like, it's not your fault until Dean is like, no, it is your fault later on. But like,
yeah,
he
he,
will try and convince Sam, and Sam is never to be convinced that anything he feels guilty about is not his fault.
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
probably that
Maybe
too.
that's, hey, I just had a breakthrough. Maybe
Mm.
that's why Dean just starts blaming him because he's like, I'm not going to
Well,
convince him
you
anyway.
won't believe me, so you're right. It's
You're right. It is your fault.
God.
Oh
Dang, that's
no.
dark.
Oh no.
All right, let's rate
Um,
this one. Let's rate this episode, Phantom
okay.
Traveler.
Phantom
So,
Traveler.
to remind everybody, we do a little wardrobe judgment. It's either horrendous, adorable, genuinely good, or terrible but great. What did you think of the wardrobe in this one?
Okay. I have a comment about hair. This is not my
Ooh.
favorite Sam hair.
No, it's not mine either.
Um, but I love how boyish it makes him because he is such a
Right.
big dude. It turns him into
A giant child.
a child and
A
some
child.
I'm not trying to infantilize this like grown man, but
Right.
because he's such a tall, broad, well, and he gets broader. He's actually kind
Mhm.
of scrawny in the earlier
Yeah,
seasons,
he's
but
willowy.
yeah, he's lean. Um, but he's still very tall. He can be really imposing,
Yeah.
but that's not the role that he is supposed to be playing here. He's the little brother.
Hmm.
He has stuff happening to him. He's,
Yeah.
so he has to be a bit more vulnerable. And I recognize this is Sam's hair for the whole season, not just for
Hmm.
this episode, but it struck me in this episode. Um,
There's a quite a contrast of it against the suit. Maybe that was why.
I think that might have been why, because this is their first time getting suits.
Yeah, they matched.
They
I
did
love
not have suits before this.
No, and I love that Dean's like, feel like a blues brother.
Well, and what does Sam say? You look like
What
a
does he
fifth,
say?
you look like a
Yeah.
seventh grader going to his first dance.
Oh my God. He nailed it.
Mm,
Cute. So
mm.
what do you think?
Um, I think, oh, and he also, once they're done with with the suit part, and they're
Yeah.
just talking with the old client, so they don't have to keep up the appearances, they're still wearing the clothes. And Sam's collar is popped all the way on top of his suit jacket, like he's a dancer in a 70s club or something.
Yes.
I was just like, dude, dude, tuck that in.
What
That's
is
not,
that? Yeah.
what are you doing? But I also thought it was really cute, and I love me some Sam in a suit, and so I think I am gonna do what's the one that's just above normal, average.
Well, there's not any. It's literally just,
I'm counting like from 1 being the bottom to 4 being the top. 2 is like average, like
yeah, probably
nothing
adorable.
special.
Yeah, adorable.
Um,
It's literally just 4 words. Horrendous,
I know.
adorable, genuinely good, or terrible, but great.
Oh,
I think you're
I
sitting between adorable or genuinely good.
well, I think I'm gonna have to go with adorable if those are the worst. Because I was thinking
Okay.
I like it better than some other episodes because there are episodes where there's just nothing special about his
Yeah.
appearance. Um, but I feel like I have to give something to the first appearance of Suits.
Fair.
So I think I'm gonna go with oh, it's still adorable.
It
Adorable
is.
point 0.5.
Adorable. I love that. I said it was genuinely good because I literally loved them in those suits. I was just like, this is so good. They look so good. And then they got to use the coat. Like Dean was like,
Yeah.
I knew that this blazer was gonna come in handy. He has to like throw it over the barbed
Oh,
wire to
when they're
jump
going
over.
over the barbed wire. I love
Yeah.
that. I love
I
that.
love them.
I
They
love
they
that.
looked
That's so good.
adorable in that
Yeah.
suit. So our Sam Girl friendly scale for this episode, Phantom Traveler, we've got screen time, Sam Girl enjoyment, and heart eyes. So how did you rate Phantom Traveler in those categories on a scale
So
from 1 to 5?
let me start with hard eyes. I'm
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
go with a solid 5 on this one.
Ooh,
Because what gets me
that's our
about
first
Sam,
5.
well, I have backup. When he is interviewing, I think it's the flight attendant. Or no, it's the pilot's wife,
Okay,
I
yeah.
think. Yeah, yeah. The pilot who went up in a two-seater and killed himself and his friend who was trying to get him back up in the air. I think that was the part.
Yeah.
Sam is interviewing this woman to find out if he was acting odd before his death.
Yeah.
And he's so soft
I know.
when he's talking to her about it.
He's so good with
so
victims.
soft when he's talking to her about it.
Mhm.
Even though Dean is like looking at him like,
Are you
you're just gonna
serious right
jump in
now?
with this? You're just gonna jump in and ask her if he was a demon? Okay, we're going there. Great. And then once he asked, Dean was like, okay, yeah, what's your answer? Like, okay, it's out there. So I love that. I love all the times when Sam took Dean's fear seriously,
Yeah.
because I feel like the narrative itself, at least toward the end, plays Dean's fear as a joke.
Yeah.
And
It's so funny.
and it is really funny. It is genuinely funny.
But it's
in the
genuinely like,
universe,
yeah.
yeah,
Go ahead. I'm
in
sorry.
in the yeah, right. In the universe of the show,
Mhm.
it wouldn't make sense for, in this very serious like life or death situation, for Sam to be like, if only you weren't so scared or whatever.
Right.
Like, I don't know if I'm just like taking it super seriously because I also have this fear, and I'm just taking it personally because just watching the scene of like the near crash makes my neck like hot with anxiety.
Yeah, it's very upsetting.
It's very upsetting to me. The number of times throughout my notes, I'm just like, oh my God, that I did
This
not
is
read
very
to.
upsetting.
I'm so upset. I have to pause. So I rate the heart eyes as a 5 because of how he knew exactly when to be very, very soft.
And yes, he's very gentle with the victims. He's very gentle with Dean.
Mm-hmm.
I gave it a 4.8. I was like,
That's pretty good.
This is high for me. Same reason. Like I wrote so many notes about Sam being soft with victims, but I love him in the suit. I love Dean in the suit. I
And
had
they're
hard
cute.
eyes for everything.
Cute brother moment.
Yes.
with say it in Latin. That all of that made it a 5 for me.
Every element that I love about it is present in this episode.
So enjoyment, I'm gonna rate this pretty high.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do like a 4.7 or 4.6.
Okay.
Because I'm trying very hard not to deduct like 17 points for being about plane crashes.
Fair.
Very, very hard. Because I didn't enjoy, as
Like
just a
that
person,
part.
I didn't enjoy that part. But his the meaty bits we get about Sam being surprised to hear that John talked about him, surprised to find that somebody thinks he's as good a hunter as his dad, really tense emotional moments about dealing with Jess and her death and his nightmares about it.
Yeah.
All of these really meaty bits made it really good and satisfying to watch. So I'm gonna go like a 4.7.
That's exactly what I did. 4.7.
Wow.
We're nailing it.
Nailing it.
And then screen time, what did you think?
I don't think anybody was sidelined in this one.
No,
Mm-mm.
it was pretty
Yeah,
balanced.
it was very balanced. So for balance, I guess that's 4.5, 4, 3. I don't know. Do you put it in the middle
Yeah,
if it's even?
that's so freaking weird. I gave it a 4.5.
No way.
Why are we the same?
Lottery. You know why.
Literally,
You
you're
know
right.
why.
Why did I even ask that? I don't know. Yeah, okay. So I overall gave it a 4.6. You gave it a 4.7. We've rated this episode. You ready for the next one?
Fantastic. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Oh my God, guys. So episode 5 of season 1 is called Bloody Mary. I remember, I'm going to summarize this one, but I remember when I first watched this with my friends, I had to like hold one of my friends' hand because I was scared.
I
I was
love
like,
that.
this is scary. Well, and I'm
It is.
huge like The Ring, like
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
scared me
Mhm.
when I was like when I saw it in theaters in high school, and this has a lot of that in it. I think one of
Creepy,
my most
bedraggled
Ooh,
silhouette girl in
yes.
reflection or some kind of glass. Mm-mm.
I said
No,
one of my
thank you.
notes is Mary is a Samara ass bitch.
Yeah.
And I was like, she really is. And then later she crawls out of a mirror, and I said, okay, I was joking, but
She does do it. She does do it. Oh my
okay, so the
gosh. Okay,
summary
okay,
for
so
those of us who don't remember, just in case. So these little girls at a like slumber party are playing the Bloody Mary game. And then later her father, for some reason, is the victim of Bloody Mary. And Bloody Mary, like, I don't know, takes her dad's eyes. The later the coroner is like, I've never seen so much blood in someone's skull. So I don't know if they like exploded his eyes. Mary did something to this poor man's eyes. And so that obviously is going to draw Sam and Dean to the town. It's a really interesting, the lore is really interesting because they cover a lot of the variations of Bloody Mary, and they talk about how it's hard to nail down because there's so many different versions of it, which I thought was really interesting and smart because how can you nail down the original Bloody Mary? So what they end up realizing is that it was a woman who was killed by like a serial killer in front of her like mirror or something, and that Dean was really smart because he couldn't find anything happening to a Mary in that town. So he did like a wider search, and what they realized, it was a mirror that the spirit was attached to that had been sold. And wherever the mirror was is where Mary was. And so they realized that Mary isn't coming for just anyone. It has to be someone with a secret that they've like, and someone died with that secret. And so that person is killed because essentially they're responsible, quote unquote, for someone else's death. And through that, you guys can obviously make the connection that with Sam's feelings of guilt with Jessica, he ends up like kind of offering himself up as bait to get her, and in the end they do. And a huge plot point that is revealed about Sam is that he had dreamed about Jessica's death for weeks before it happened. And this is how we learn that he actually has visions.
Yes. So this is another kind of meaty episode. I really
Yes.
enjoyed watching this. It my friends and I used to scare the shit out of each other on purpose.
Yeah.
Every time we had a sleepover, whether it was just two of us getting together going, what was that sound? Or like intentionally sleeping in the backyard in a tent just so that we could be scared of everything and then have to run in the house later. Or
Yep.
or if there were six of us and we were
Mhm.
telling scary stories or whatever, we always intentionally did that. We never did Bloody Mary. Did you do Bloody Mary?
We did Bloody Mary. We did Light as a Feather, Stiff as a Board.
That's the one we did. And
Yeah.
we did Ouija boards.
Oh, I never did Ouija
Even
boards.
though
Oh,
we were very religious and knew that they were knew, quote unquote, knew that they were evil, and we still were like such bad girls.
I was too afraid of Ouija boards. Like we never did do that, but we
I
did the
know.
other stuff for sure. Being scared at night with your friends is like the most fun.
Yes, it is
Unless
so fun.
Mary
Unless it's
comes and
real.
takes your dad's eyes, and then you're
And
like, dang it.
Yeah. And creepy stuff in mirrors, like we were talking about with Samara, mirrors or any kind of reflective glass. That is always a good time. It's such a good, solid horror trope.
It was so
Um,
good. Her
there's-
following behind all the reflections of everything is
oh,
really terrifying.
oh,
And
yes, it
I
is.
loved it, and it's a shame that they stopped playing with terror tropes farther in because they get more into the religious lore
Yeah.
and the mythology of like the angels and demons, but like this stuff is so good here at the beginning.
Yes.
As we've said,
It's
and this
so
is
good.
no
Well,
exception.
and I think humans in general, like there's a lot of primal human fear wrapped up in reflection.
Yeah.
Like it's somewhere in the back of your mind, at least once or twice, you're thinking, is that actually another whole different dimension, or
Yeah.
is it
Well,
really just a reflection of me?
and they talk about
Like,
the superstitions, which is really interesting because I watch a ghost hunter like YouTuber sometimes. Sam and Kobe, have you ever watched them?
yeah, yes. Oh my God, how have we never talked about this?
I
Okay,
can't believe it. We'll talk about that later.
that's something else, yeah.
But they've talked about like the lore of like not lore, well, I guess it's lore, like the superstition of mirrors and how if they're facing each other, it creates a portal. And they've actually had to during ghost hunts like cover mirrors with blankets. And I was watching this and I was like, hey, those are all the things that Sam and Kobe said. Like they
Yes,
like and like
yes.
Sam and Deemer over here, like, yeah, we need to cover this. Okay, this is a portal and blah blah blah. And I was just like, oh,
It's like,
okay.
yeah, like it's actual, that's like one of my favorite things in any media is when they don't just make stuff up out of whole cloth.
Mhm.
They take mythology
They do the
and
research.
stories. They do the research.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love that. And I love mirror stuff, window stuff, anything that could be a a portal, like you said,
Yeah.
into another world, especially if that world doesn't seem that different, but maybe you catch your reflection
Like slightly different.
slightly off of you and you're just like,
Yes. That
oh,
was the part
ooh.
with the blonde friend who like
Mhm.
did it as a joke while she was on the phone, and the non-moving reflection when she was washing her face and it just stared at her was
Mhm.
so scary.
Oh, that's so scary.
Oh,
Um, so I also, so I paid a lot of attention to mirrors um through this episode. I think as just, makes sense. But
yeah.
I wanted to get into Sam's opening scene being a
Okay.
little bit like a mirror too,
Ooh.
because when he is having his nightmare
Mm.
about Jess, he is laid back on a bed and he looks straight up and she is in the same position,
Mm-hmm.
but on the ceiling,
I hate it.
burning.
Yes.
And he is looking up and they are like mirrors of each
Mirrors.
other. And
You're
then he
right.
wakes up, of course. So,
And then they kind of do like a mirror image with the camera. They do him upside down and then they flip it up and
mhm.
you realize he's actually in the front seat of the Impala.
Yes, yeah.
I like
They
that.
they do so much work
Hmm.
in this episode
Just
on
little
things like
details
that.
like that.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, oh, and other beautiful things about this episode, like those details, the graininess of the film,
Hmm.
the matte color palette. I
I
just
miss
love it.
that.
The black of the car is such a deep black. The
Yeah.
contrast is like
It
turned
was
way up.
really sharp to me in this one.
Mhm.
Like the Impala really cut through the screen for me this episode.
Yes, yes, yes. And when they're walking, I forget where they're walking, but like you can see the daylight shafting through the windows.
Hmm.
And I'm just like, this is art.
Yeah,
Like I shouldn't say that, but
we are obsessed with early season Supernatural.
I
I mean,
know, I know.
on episode 2 with Victoria, Vic said the exact same thing. Like we just love it.
Yeah, it's so good.
I
It's
know.
so good. At the end of episode 4,
Hmm.
um, the long highway road at the very end.
Yeah. I know. Well, it's ruined for me every time because I'm watching on Netflix and the music is so terrible. So
Oh,
I'm always like,
yeah.
ew. I'm
I am
like,
watching on Netflix too, and I just have to ignore it. But
never
at
listen to
least
that shitty early 2000s rock. They would
it's so
never
bad.
listen to that.
So bad. But yeah.
So one of the first things that Dean says in this episode is, we're gonna have to talk sooner or later, like about this. And I said, this seems out of character.
hmm
But we're building Dean's character. And so technically this is who he was originally.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I do get a little sad about that, where I'm just like, well, we'll lose that one day. And
Yeah.
he won't want to talk anymore. But I thought that was really sweet that he did say that. And the poker game money, the poker games that he used to play to get them money, I loved that was like, we got a little introduction to
I love
Dean.
that too. And I found it very interesting that Sam carries the money, even though Dean quote unquote earned it. Like
Won it playing poker.
Sam carries the money. Dean earns the money.
Yeah,
poker. And like
interesting
that's like a balanced
dichotomy.
brothers kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, later season Dean would never, but but I was just
it is kind of cute. He's like the treasurer of the Impala.
Cute. Yes, exactly. Like he's like, yeah, I'm gonna take care of the stuff that you have to be a responsible person for. I'm gonna take care of those things. I'm gonna take the notes. I'm gonna do the research. I'm gonna take care of the money.
Yeah. You win it
go do all this
responsibly. I will hold on to it responsibly.
You do the illegal stuff. I'll do everything else.
Oh, that was another quote from the last episode, where he goes, "Oh, this is illegal even for us."
Because they were going into the aircraft.
They were going to be
investigation place.
Yeah, they were going to be Homeland Security. They were like,
oh my gosh,
fully like could go to federal prison, and we're just like,
yeah.
Oh, and I'm spunky. It'll be fine.
It'll be great.
Anyways, we have to stop talking about the fun episode because this is a somber, upsetting.
This is a somber, upsetting episode.
We're focusing. We're focusing.
Focus down. So, I do. This is also a little bit related to episode 4, but Sam being so gentle with the younger daughter.
He is
at the wake
where he shines. And that's one of the things I said, I said, not them just showing up at this poor man's funeral. Like I said, what happened to decorum? Like they literally come in with like a fucking hoodie and a leather jacket. They
should have at least worn the suits from the last episode.
Street rats. Like I was just like, who are you?
I know.
Sam was so sweet that it was fine.
One of them, I forget who, one of them did at least say, I feel like we're underdressed.
Dean, he made that joke. I was like,
that's so funny. But he was so gentle with the younger daughter. He's such a soft voice. He's so tall, but he gets down onto her level to talk to her.
He's very good at that.
And even Dean in this scene too, when he's reassuring this girl that it wasn't her fault, because she says, I did it because we said Bloody Mary. And he doesn't say Bloody Mary's not real. Don't worry about it. Your fears are unfounded. He says it couldn't be your fault because your dad didn't say it, right?
Right.
Like
I thought that was really
he's
cool.
Acknowledging her fear and not dismissing it, not dismissing the knowledge that she has about it, which of course they're in a special situation because they know that she could actually be right. But anyone else would have said, don't be dumb.
Girl, don't listen to it. Yeah, her sister was like, that's not true. That doesn't happen. And that wasn't convincing her.
It's not what she needed to hear. Yeah. She needed someone to take her seriously.
No, like even if if that were true, it wouldn't have worked that way. That's not how the thing works.
And even if we weren't in Supernatural and Bloody Mary wasn't real and this was just in a normal realistic TV show or something, at your dad's like freaking wake or whatever this was, you don't, if a little kid is like, I'm so worried I had a part in his death because we were playing Bloody Mary, you don't say, that's dumb. Bloody Mary doesn't exist. You say, but Daddy didn't say Bloody Mary.
Yeah,
so
it
can't have been. Yeah, it can't have been your fault. It had nothing to do with Bloody Mary. So I really enjoyed that whole interaction.
It was really sweet. It was well written, well acted, and that was one of the things that you mentioned. Jared is very good at bringing the like physicality of how tall he is down,
Yep.
as like to make himself smaller
Hmm.
when he's in these vulnerable scenes with people like that. And I've always loved that because that was something that you would have to do if you're
Yeah.
as tall and as big as he is and you're a stranger to everyone you meet. They always are literally interacting with strangers. And
Yeah.
that's such a useful like tactic that I think
That's
he
that's got to be something he learned
yeah,
purposefully
he
because
probably does it in real life.
he probably
He probably
does.
has to.
Oh, that's
Um,
funny.
but Sam was so sweet with this young girl and she's blaming herself. And I wrote, I'm sure he relates as he blames himself for everything, except that this time that girl, it really is her fault though.
Well, okay. Let's
I
put
mean,
the
it
blame
is.
where it really lies. It is
The
her
spirit.
dad's fault for
Oh, yeah, you're right.
killing someone.
Oh, so let's get into that. So the story goes that you have to have like a secret where you maybe if you were responsible for someone's death, which isn't always the case because
Yes,
we learn that the
I
young
think.
main girl that they end up being pals with takes on the guilt of her boyfriend committing suicide because he was like, if you leave me, I will commit suicide.
And then he
And
does it.
he does, and she feels guilty. And it's very progressive for a show from 2005 to like take the narrative and say, actually, that wasn't your fault. Feminism is bad right now. And we usually blame women, but in this show right now, in this episode, we're not. And so I thought that
Well,
was really nice for them to
it,
kind of
it, it
clarify.
yeah, well, it was interesting, right? Because she does get gone after. So, like, by the rules of
Right.
the haunt, the narrative would seem to be implying that yes, she is guilty because the ghost of the haunt is going after her, and that's what needs to happen. But
Well, the
then we
narrative
see,
doesn't because the boys actually, who are the controllers of the narrative, clarify to each other. They go, well, she didn't actually do anything wrong. And Sam says, yeah, but ghosts don't actually need things to be nuanced. They're black or white. And he's right. It's like
yeah, that's true.
hitting
That's
him on
true.
the technicality in the first episode where he didn't cheat, but like it was good enough for her that he
Right.
was pinned against that, you know, front
Right.
seat. And that to me in this episode where it showed it would go after Sam, who we know isn't. It's not his fault that Jess died. Dominoes were falling all across the background of his life for those events to happen.
Hmm.
And it wasn't that girl's fault that her, boyfriend died. And so I started thinking, well, what if it wasn't that he poisoned his wife with an overdose, but what if he feels guilty as if he drove her to abuse drugs because he wasn't a good enough husband or something? Like, what if it was guilt? Maybe it wasn't
I
he's
was
a
thinking,
murderer, but maybe he
yeah,
felt bad or something,
I was thinking that maybe we were given the wrong rules of the
Mm-hmm.
haunt, that the
Yeah.
rules are actually Bloody Mary or this ghost
Yeah.
is drawn to people who feel guilt for someone's death.
Yeah. That's the
So
only
that,
thing that really links them all together.
yeah,
Aside from the first guy, we really don't know much about his inner life because they don't give us a lot. But we
hmm,
know that the girl who died because I mean, she's a piece of shit. She killed a kid and like hit and run. But she
uh,
felt guilt because in the mirror, there she says, you killed that little boy. And she
hmm,
feels guilt.
yeah,
And we know that Charlie feels guilt, which is the girl who is like the main sidekick in this episode. We
hmm.
know Sam feels guilt, really.
Oh God,
And at the end of the day, Mary feels guilt because that's what destroys her is like all the lives that she's taken in this form of this like vengeful spirit.
yeah. By the way, that girl, the second person to die,
Yeah.
she's so not cool, and I hope I was never like her.
She was a real
She's
pick
like,
me.
oh no, I can't help myself. I'm gonna say it. Like, what?
Why would you ever make fun of your friend for being scared? That's so weird. That's such a
Even if you did think it was dumb, if I was like 17 and my 17-year-old friend was like, don't say it, I wouldn't be like, oh no, I can't help myself. I'd be like, you mean like, don't say Bloody Mary?
oh my God. I
Well,
wouldn't do it
I
at
think
all.
I'll
I'm
have a Bloody
superstitious.
Mary. Like, if I was gonna do it, it would be as a joke at
I
where
will
I was.
this camera off right now.
Okay, I won't say it a third time.
So we've had so much to say about the lore and the side characters in this one, but like big shit has been revealed about
Yes,
Sam.
yes,
So we
you
should
are
get into
right.
that.
Let's get into that.
Okay.
He
And then
has
we say
another,
nothing.
and then we say nothing. He has another mirror dream,
Mhm.
and when he wakes up from it, he's like, "Why'd you let me fall asleep?"
Poor baby.
And Dean is like, "Because I'm a good brother," and that is the good brother thing because Sam has been having trouble sleeping for like 2 episodes now.
Yes.
But it also doesn't help Sam because then he has nightmare and he probably feels like he's slacking on helping Dean do research because Dean doesn't like research. So I'm sure there's complaining. And they find out that mirrors reflect the secrets and they find out the whole like deal about Bloody Mary.
Yeah. And so we've got these visions. I think it's really interesting. And I wrote that, now I feel like me and Sam have a secret, just the two of us, because they haven't done anything on screen where the boys don't receive information at the same time or are talking to each other and like giving each other information. And so the way that they reveal this is very like, this is for the audience. And so Sam, and this is to kind of harken back to my like Sam running towards death kind of motif constantly. Like there wasn't a season where he was just like, I'm kind of cool with being alive. Like we're in episode 5, and in the previous episode, he was like, I'm gonna get on this flight and we're gonna win or die. And in this one, it's the same deal, but even worse because he's like, it's like I deserve this. I deserve
Mhm.
to face Mary and see what her judgment is on me. And
Yeah.
once they establish the pattern is that it has to be someone who has guilt and a secret and that they feel they are responsible for someone's death. And Dean is like, we're not doing that. Like, also, you
Yeah.
didn't kill Jessica. Also, what could you have done? You didn't make
Yeah.
it
He
happen.
says it wasn't your fault and you shouldn't blame yourself.
Right.
Which I
And
just
what
want to
could you have
engrave on
done?
my soul. Dean says that to Sam. And then
Yes.
Sam says, I haven't told you everything. And you're just like,
Wait, what does that mean? Well, because
What?
at the time too, like if someone tells you that, well, I haven't told you everything, but you're like, but there's nothing you could tell me that would mean that you are responsible for this. There's nothing you could tell me
Yes.
that would mean you could have stopped it. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, so I could have never guessed. Dean could have never guessed.
Yeah.
And I
But
still don't believe that Sam could have changed anything. It's just in retrospect, understanding how Jess died, he now is able to understand the dreams were a premonition,
yes.
and that was the
Yeah.
first of its kind. So when
Yeah.
he faces Mary in the mirror and she starts shit talking him, and she says like, you knew because you had these dreams, that's a big reveal where we're like, what?
Yeah. You dreamed about it for weeks before she died or something like that.
A huge reveal.
Yeah. I mean, I love that Dean doesn't press for his secret.
Yes,
In this episode, he just says,
that was huge.
okay, no, you can't do this. And he doesn't like it, but he does still go along with Sam's plan.
Yes, he's like, I don't want to do this, but also he's right. Like, what are the alternatives? Like,
Right, exactly. And then Sam in the mirror is so
yes.
sinister.
Oh,
And this is something that happens to Sam a lot. Like I was watching that, like, is the lighting just weird on this, or are his eyes black with like a one little shine in them? It was
it's very serial killery. Yeah.
so, and this is something that happens to Sam a lot. He has these instances of having to talk to himself, like in the mindscape in later seasons,
Yes.
to himself in the panic room. Like
Oh,
he talks to himself and has to confront himself
yeah.
so often throughout this whole show.
And
this
in
is
like
just
a
like instance
literal,
one.
like spliced self, not even like he's
Yeah.
talking to himself, but like there's a literal second self like
Yeah.
physically
A
there.
literal hallucination of himself in
Yeah.
some way.
Oh God.
Yeah. And
You're right.
so,
I never thought of
yeah,
that.
I mean, it's just, and he's failing.
Mhm.
He's like, I'm gonna smash the mirror when she goes into the mirror. And he smashes all the mirrors around her, so she can't go into them. She has to go into this mirror.
Yep.
And then she appears and he is facing himself, her, but himself, right?
Yeah.
And he can't, he doesn't succeed against it. Dean comes and saves the day.
Yeah. And
Dean comes and smashes the mirror.
it comes down it comes down to like at the end of the day, like the guilt that he feels about Jess and that truth, that secret being revealed to him through the mirror. Where I mean, has he even said that out loud to anyone? No. Can you imagine hearing it from like an evil version of yourself? And you're like,
Yeah.
oh my God, you're right. Like that's his worst fear, his worst, like deepest guilt. And so, I mean, just think, God, that was one of the things I said. Not Dean assaulting two police officers outside. Like
I don't have time for this.
I was like, girl, like it's so early in the series for you to be committing like felonies, brother.
Yeah,
But if
he's been arrested already. Like he's
yeah, but not for a felony.
I know.
Like I was just, but if he hadn't, he wouldn't have been able to come and save.
Right.
And that
Right.
was
He
like,
would have been stuck out there trying to just explain to these police officers while Sam gets his eyes melted.
yes.
But
And one of the things that he says after that, and thankfully, like, you know, they get rid of Samara, Mary, whatever you want to call her, and she's
Samari.
gone. Samari. And it's really interesting. I don't know what made Dean do this, where like she's coming after them. Like, you think it's over. They smashed it. And instead this
Yeah.
bitch crawls after they smashed that last, he crawls out after they're walking away. And you're like, oh my God, this
oh
is
shit, it's not over. Yeah, this
and,
is
and Dean's
serious
just like,
now.
you're ugly. Look at this. Look at your own face or whatever.
You're ugly.
He shows her her own reflection, which was really poetic. And
I
I
love
loved
that.
it. I loved it.
Now I don't understand. I have never understood why Dean's eyes start to bleed as well. Maybe it's the power of her being actually out of the mirror
Yeah.
now and she's just attacking.
Yeah, I think that
But
must be it.
regardless, I love that he turns and this is a trope, right? You have something that has to do with the mirror, and then you turn the mirror on the monster, and that is a pretty common thing. But in this show, it is just another example, another acknowledgement that a lot of the things that they hunt were once people. They
Yes.
have stories. Just like when we were talking about in the pilot, The Woman in White, she had her own story, her own tragedies. And this ghost, Samari, she is not an exception to quote the rules of the haunt. She is also harboring a secret that makes her guilty, and the mirror works on her too. Like, so I love that whole message.
Yes.
Of these kinds of episodes. I just love that.
It's just really good writing. I love it too. And we end with the boys kind of driving off, and Dean's like, okay, so what's the secret? And Sam says, you're my brother and I'd die for you, but there are some things I have to keep to myself. And I just thought that was such good boundary setting. And then Dean's like, all right.
And Dean accepts it for now.
We drive off. And I think we maybe won't see a lot of that in the future, but I'm holding tight to that.
I hold tight to you're my brother and I die for you, but there are some things I need to keep to myself. That will be engraved on my tombstone.
Like, it's so important to make that distinction. Like, just because I love you and I do anything for you doesn't mean that I don't have parts of myself that have to remain mine and only mine.
Yes. Mine and only mine. Oh my God. He never gets that again in the entire series. Mine and only mine is not a thing that Sam Winchester gets.
Oh. In fact, if he has anything that's his own, he feels bad.
Yeah.
Because eventually they'll all die and then he'll be like, well, I'm toxic, so I can't be around anybody.
I guess I'm done. But also, I have nothing of content to say about this. The last image of Jess
Not
standing on
Ghost
the street,
Jess. I
ghost
know.
Jess standing on the street
In that
corner,
beautiful like
and he's just
nightgown.
watching her.
He's like, no, that's my girl. And he's kind of like, am I going crazy? Like, what's going is
What?
she there? Am I what's happening? And we don't know either because we're like, well, girl, you had those dreams. Are you those? We do not know.
Right. Well,
So
and ghosts exist.
and here we are 5 episodes in and we're like, well, dang, I gotta keep watching. Like such a
Yep.
like good way to hook people into the
So
to
good.
the like overarching like storyline. Like they got
Yes.
us with these little pieces of horror movies and now we're like getting deeper into, oh, Sam Winchester can see into the future. Interesting.
Right. Right. And there's this
Also,
mystery.
isn't there a fan theory that the reason the boys' lives are so bad moving forward is because of all of the bad luck they accrued breaking all those mirrors in this episode?
Yeah. I think Dean even says, I think this is about 600 years bad luck.
Yeah. And it's
During
something
this.
cute to think of when you're watching for the first time. But when you know how terrible their
Oh my
lives
God.
really are about to be forever, and like the amount of years Dean is going to spend in hell one day, and the amount of millennia that Sam will spend in hell, and you're like, yeah, they really have a lot of bad luck in their
I
future.
think they should have run out all of their bad luck in the first Hill stint, as far as I'm
That's true.
concerned.
You're right.
But no, he was only down there for 40 years.
Yeah, Dean wasn't in there for millennia, but
Yeah.
Sam's luck never gets better after.
Well, he's born under a bad sign. So that's just, because of a future episode. Anyway, one of my
All right,
favorites.
wardrobe
Um,
judgment for this one.
Wardrobe. Okay, so I actually wrote notes about this one.
All right,
So
talk
this
to
is
me.
normal hoodie jacket,
Mm-hmm.
normal pants, normal whatever. He's doing his normal regular outfit.
Yeah.
So because of that, I am going to end up at an adorable.
Yes, same.
There's nothing bad about it, but there's nothing super remarkable about it. He's just
Yeah.
cute. But I will say, in the motel, after his second dream, when he wakes up and he's laying on his back,
Yeah.
he's in not his jacket, just his hoodie and his jeans. And I'm just like,
Oh.
I like it.
I like it.
I like it.
That's fair. Yeah, I said it was adorable too. I think as long as he's not wearing something horrendous or something super hot, it's always going to be adorable.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
like he'll get into like terrible but great territory in like season 3. But
He's got other stuff on his mind in season 3.
So true. And not how to shop for sure. Okay,
That's
so
right.
Sam girl friendly scale, because I said adorable too with wardrobe. So
Mhm.
you want to go in order or you can hop around?
I don't care.
Okay.
I don't care. I
Screen
just
time.
can't think of them all at once. So
The screen time. What do you think?
screen time. I think good screen time.
I agree.
I think this is really good screen time. I'm gonna do like a 4.8 or something on screen time.
That's so funny. I did 4.7 because it's a Sam centric episode.
Mhm.
So it's automatically like if you're getting more screen time, I'm gonna give you a high score for that. And it's good stuff we're finding out. Like, I mean, it's not
Yes.
happy stuff, but it's really good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's meaningful screen time.
Meaningful. Yeah.
Like if he was knocked out in a corner,
Mm-hmm.
sidelined, but still on screen, no, that doesn't count.
Doesn't count.
This is good, meaningful screen time. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And it's part of some of the most interesting lore about him that we'll ever have. Like,
Yeah.
this is a thread I love for them to pull on. Okay, so enjoyment.
I'm gonna say related to the screen time.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy this episode because we get I know I talked about it being a thing that he has to deal with, but I also really love when he has to talk to versions of himself.
Yes.
I really love that. I love getting insight into characters, like thoughts about themselves, like their knowledge about themselves rather than just what the narrative is telling or what other characters think about them.
Yes.
So I'm just like, I'm fascinated with that sort of storytelling. And of course the lore, the myth arc stuff that we learn about Sam with the visions, and they're not even like really explored as visions yet.
Yeah.
They're a hint of, you were dreaming about this before it happened.
Mhm.
And
You
Sam
saw it.
going, yeah, and I've kept that to myself because I have no idea what's going on. So
Right.
I'm not going to be talking about that anytime soon. Um, Meaty, overall good, 4.8.
Dang. That's a good score. I gave it a 4 because it was
Really?
really good, but it hurt my feelings. Like, I'm just gonna be real straightforward, like, ouch, ouch.
See, I like getting my feelings hurt.
You have to if you're a Sam fan. If you're a
I know.
Supernatural fan, none of these episodes are very happy.
No. I prefer drama that hurts my feelings.
Yeah.
I like it. I prefer it. So very satisfying for me.
What about Hard Eyes?
Hard Eyes. All right. This is like similar to Phantom Traveler. We've got Sam talking really gentle.
Sam
This time with a
shrinking
kid,
himself. Yeah.
shrinking himself down and
Yeah.
talking with a young child who's just lost her second parent.
Oh, terrible.
Yeah. So I'm not giving it a straight 5 because that 5 came also from hard eyesing the brothers.
Yes.
This I'm gonna give, I think I might be like 4.8s across the board. It's my favorite number right now.
10 across the board. I gave it a 3.5.
Whoa, really?
Mostly because, yeah, I love Sam doing all those things. He's still just so like compact and sweet, and like he's a young boy to me still. So like my hard eyes I have to save room on the scale for when like soulless Sam is there. I just remember 1 of the 5 for me. So
I see.
you know what I'm saying?
I see.
Not that
I see.
so the same like hard eyes
I'm
can't
doing
be for,
hard
like,
eyes like cuteness and sweetness.
which is what he is right now. And
That's
that's
true.
fair, later on.
But when
I
he's soulless Sam, the hard eyes will be something else.
yes, we
But
all right.
I'll have to put an asterisk next to these hard eyes
These hard eyes
because
are
these hard eyes are
pricier
for sweetness and those hard eyes are for something else.
with something else. So
Just something
I gave it a 4.0 for this episode. You gave it a 4.8, like across the
Just across the board.
that's a good one. We have not had, you and I have only scored like really enjoyable episodes so far.
That's true. That's true.
We're really
Just
having
wait.
a good time.
Bugs is coming. Just wait.
Maybe it'll surprise us.
I think I will be surprised. I was surprised last time I did a rewatch and I was like, this isn't as bad as I remember. But I think fandom like really colored my opinion of it because I came into it late. But we'll talk about that when it's
I
Bugs
can't
time.
wait. I can't wait to talk more. Thank you for sitting down with me again.
Yes, anytime. I love it. All right.
Have a good night. See you guys next time.
I'll see you later. Bye.